Hey, thanks a lot for joining us today for another segment of Canadian Bacon. Today's stocks, Canadian tech movers. For the date August 24th, 2023, in an active market right now, around 1:51 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So we're going to go do a little recap. My friends asked me to do a recap on how they're going to purchase these magnificent 7 stocks on the Canadian Stock Exchange. So we're going to go through a few of them real quickly that are available to you on the Canadian stock market, spending your Canadian dollars only. So real quick on the board, we have Apple on the American Stock Exchange. And you can see that's actively trading at 177.58. Then I move to my Canadian counterpart right here. And this is the Canadian Apple, and it's trading for $26.50, down 53 cents on the day. So make a little note of, jot a couple of these down, because sometimes they very active traders, even though these are on the Canadian Stock Exchange. And it depends what what your thresholds are, so what you're looking for. I'm generally target, 50 cents to $1 a share sometimes, and, quick moment. So we'll go through a few of these. This is the Apple. On my hit parade is also AMD, and this is the American AMD trading presently at $101.51. And then and that's a little unhappy face. This is my algorithm over here, my algorithm unhappy face or a scared face. This one's a shocked face for AMD today. And also, this is the Canadian AMD. And the algorithm put a little ambulance on there today, trading down $1.51 or 7% on AMD on the Canadian market. So jot a few of these down. They cut both ways, okay? So this is not a great day for this particular stock, but it's very volatile, very active, even on the Canadian market, okay? NVIDIA at $46.25, trading presently on the Canadian market. And it's up today. Look at that. No shame in that, at $1.38 or 3%. It's up today. Also, we have the American NVIDIA. So there's a lot of news surrounding NVIDIA. And later segment this week, we're doing a little focus on NVIDIA. So I'll deal with that with CAP, everything, revenue streams. We'll look into, take a little closer look at NVIDIA, but it's worth jotting down, and a very violent stock sometimes, and it can punch you in the face. So we'll move on to Intel, right? So this is part of the Magnificent 7 we're doing today. Just to give you a brief overview, you jot some of these down. They're very active. So if you're looking to make money, possibly lose a little bit sometimes with these guys, because you got to be on your toes with some of these Magnificent 7s. They're not for the faint of heart. And they're all in the tech industry for now. As I mentioned before we carry on, we still put the sizzle in other markets too. It just so happens that tech is the one that's streaming right now. So that's the American Intel, and here's your Canadian. Back to the stocks. Back to Canadian Intel, trading at $19.73 Canadian, down 63 cents for the day. Microsoft's down today, and here's your Canadian Microsoft, trading at $23.98, down 32 cents. You have your Meta on your U.S. side at $290.74 at the time, and your Canadian Meta trading at $16.49. Tag is META on the Canadian market. Then you have your Amazon. There's your American at $132.84, and then we have our Canadian Amazon at $16.12. This one can knock your knees out too. Watch that. They can rip. It doesn't look like too much activity, but this Canadian one can rip. Google, $131.60 on the U.S., and here's our Canadian Google at $22.31 presently. Then we move down real quick, guys, because my friends only give me 11 minutes and 44 seconds to complete this mission. So I won't take any more time. Your Netflix and your Canadian Netflix, trading at $16.42. This one can punch you in the face sometimes too. At least it has for me. And it also can, get a round of 4 for golf in Ontario, Canada. Tesla. There's the big boy on the American market at 232.53 US. And there's my Canadian Tesla trading at $21.70 on the market. So this is a fairly active stock. It's down 40 cents on the share, but if you put shares into that, by the way, on the Tesla, it's a two-edged sword, as I've mentioned before. Tesla. MasterCard. There's your U.S. MasterCard at $399.31. And the one I trade with is the Canadian MasterCard, trading at $25.60, piggybacking off of the American ones. Visa. Here's your U.S. Visa. These are very violent stocks, by the way, as you may have seen already. So you got your Visa on the U.S. side, and then you have your Canadian Visa at $23.26 on the Visa, down 16 cents. I wouldn't say that this is a volatile stock at all, but it's a good long-term hold, maybe. Not something to swing. So watch the Visa and the MasterCard, not the biggest, heavier swinger. They don't. The middleweights or lightweights in the day and swing trading. Got the 777s on the Shopify. Now this is definitely a 1-2 punch to the face sometimes with Shopify. This is the Canadian Shopify, and then you have the American Shopify. I would keep them both on your board, right? So you can watch the after hours trading on the American one. As you can see over here, there was some some trading before hours, and the Canadian one doesn't have that, of course. So that 777s, by the way, you're rolling, crank that wheel, because Shopify, you got to watch it closely and just be patient with the Shopify. It can reward you quite well, or also just give you a punch in the gut. And another guy to do that is also with the angry face here. The algorithm automatically does that for me. This guy can really rip you apart. This guy can rip you in half. This Dollarama trading presently at $85.64. I got an angry face because this guy will really take advantage of you. Rivian's on board there, and last but not least, we're going to go through a couple things before we call it a day. And real quick, Rivian is on the board because of Tesla, right? So if you're watching Tesla and Rivian, and you got the Canadian one up here, as I've shown you before, then you want to match the Rivian in there. Moving on to the new stock screener, the 2.0 for large cap, income, cash, and going strong. We'll do that on the next segment because it's, my friends say, that's fairly insightful and interesting. Earnings, look at what happened before we call it a day here on Canadian Bacon. Sizzling stocks. We're going to show you a few sizzles right now, right? Turn me over, I'm done on this side. Is not the case in the next few stocks you're going to see today. Crispy maple flavor bacon. We're looking at RBC today, Royal Bank, with the earnings calendar today, August the 24th, 2023. So they were up 5.15%. So that's kind of nice. Toronto Dominion Bank is down negative 2.39%. So I'd like to show you next week before we call it a day, because you really want to jot these down, because there's a lot of volatility, a lot of hostility, sometimes anger management, PTSD, who knows? Bank of Montreal coming up on the 29th of August. Also Bank of Nova Scotia in Canada. Canadian Imperial Bank of Commerce is on the 31st of August. National Bank of Canada. National Bank, that's a good bank too. On August the 30th. These are all earnings coming up. Canadian Western Bank, that's kicked me in the back a few times. And the Laurentian. That's a 1-2 punch. I've had to pull up a couple teeth off the ground with Laurentian Bank of Canada. But it has rewarded me. So watch out for these big boys next week. Woo! That's smoking. So guys, I'm into everything. The banks are something to watch. And keep your eyes on your fries with the big Canadian banks next week with these earnings. Economic calendar, as I mentioned in earlier segments, nothing too much to to show you on September the 1st for Canada. Got the GDP growth rate, and that's about it. The United States got the job openings on August the 29th. That's a few days away. So that's basically, the calendar's not too jammed, but we have at 10:05 Fed Chair Powell speech at 10:05 on the August 25th. So that's what we're looking at. So my friends asked me to do a quick rundown on the Canadian stocks that we have here. And also remember, we're going to be focusing on this bad boy, and that's the NVIDIA, right? Great stock, guys. Jot it down if you like, and we'll take a closer look at that at our next segment. So thanks a lot for joining us for a quick segment today on Canadian tech movers, right? Taking advantage and watching the U.S. markets and capitalizing on that through tech stocks on the Canadian stock markets. Anyways, happy trading. Hope things are panning out for you again this week. And we'll look forward to speaking to you again. Have a nice day. Thank you.